She had such a deep, strong faith and love for Jesus. It shone through her. And I noticed she was very resilient every time something would happen in her life. I'm telling you, she had every surgery imaginable. She would just smile with faith that Jesus got me. This is how I'm going to get through, Kelley. And no matter what you go through, faith can carry us through anything. So I watched that my whole life.
Welcome to the Mompreneur Life Remix podcast, where you will learn how to remix your mompreneur life so that you can win at work without losing yourself in the process. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I am your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business and elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl and hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Mompreneur Life Remix podcast. Let's do this. Well, hey friends, happy Thursday. Today we have another Turquoise Talk guest that I'm super excited to introduce you to. I actually met Kelley on LinkedIn. I don't know if you are on LinkedIn. If you are, come over there and connect with me you can look up my name, Martine Williams. But I've been on LinkedIn for a couple of months and I've met some incredible people that are doing incredible work. And y'all know me, when I meet those people, I want to bring them to you so you can hear their story, be encouraged, be inspired, and be activated in your mompreneur life. So today's guest, her name is Kelley Tyan, and she is first and foremost a proud wife and mother of her two children. She is a faith-fueled motivational speaker, author, podcaster, and sought-after Christian coach for women in health, faith, mindset, and personal development. She is a breast cancer survivor, a four-time national bikini champion, a podcast host of her show, Addicted to the Climb, also an author of her book called Addicted to the Climb. With over 20 years of experience, Kelley has inspired and empowered countless women to break through barriers, overcome challenges, and become the courageous leaders of their lives at home and in the workplace. She is just a beautiful person inside and out. Loved our conversation. You're going to hear all about what does Addicted to the Climb mean and where did that come from for her and what does that mean for you? And so you're just going to love this episode. And if you missed getting to the end of, my episode where I thank you, let me start out with just saying, I'm just so thankful for you as the listeners who continue to listen to the show, support the show, leave reviews and ratings, and share these episodes with your mompreneur bestie. It means the world to me that you keep showing up, keep listening, and keep being inspired and encouraged and activated again in your mompreneur life. So thank you so much for that. And I can't wait for you to meet Kelley. So let's get started. Well, welcome back, friends, to the Mompreneur Life Remix podcast. I'm your host, Martine Williams, your CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And any episode, that is what I'm going to do is encourage you with hope. And I am so excited about our Turquoise Talk guest today, Kelley. Is it Tyan? I didn't ask you that. Am I saying that right?
Tyan, yes.
Tyan, okay. So excited to have her on the show. If you are a soul sister, you're going to just love this conversation. We've been talking a little bit before we got on and started the recording, and there's so many things we could talk about. We both love mompreneurs. We both love empowering women from a faith place, from the most important place for both of us. And I know for many of you as listeners. So, and whether you are of our faith or not, you will definitely take away and leave more encouraged and inspired. So Kelley, thank you so much for coming on the show.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, your family, and how you became a mompreneur. How did you get into entrepreneurship?
I am from Boston. I'm married to my beautiful husband. Yeah, that's funny, right? But no, I'm married. I'm happily married. I do have to say it was a struggle in the beginning, but we have the most amazing marriage. It's one of the things that I'm most proud of. Along with my two children, we live outside of Boston. So it's getting cold up here. Mm-hmm. We love it. We like to travel to warm places. And I am an only child. And I married an only child, which is shocking to a lot of people. I mean, what are those chances, right? Crazy. But saying that, I believe that I was born an entrepreneur and it could have something to do with being an only child. I'm not sure, but I think it is because I was always it was just me. It was always just me in the house trying to find new things to do and spread my wings. And I was very extroverted as a kid. And I always I was a risk taker from birth. So for me, trying to decide what am I doing after college was a real struggle for me in the beginning. And I had to choose back then. There wasn't, for me and my little family, my mom and dad were not entrepreneurs. So my dad went to work every day. My mom was pretty much home. So I didn't explore a lot of options besides doctor, police, teacher, like the basics.
Right. Yeah.
So, so I wasn't introduced to a lot of things back then, and we didn't have the internet, and I didn't search things. So I chose to be a teacher. And I loved the kids and I loved being in front of students and teaching, but I really wasn't fulfilled. So from that, I started 4 different businesses, which were super fun. They were a baby clothing line to a makeup artist that I traveled around to a boot camp that I ran for. That was my longest business that I ran, 10 years of a fitness business that we can chat about. But I just realized that I wanted to be in control of my destiny and I wanted to be around my children. So being a mompreneur was definitely something that I wanted to be in that position. And I was going to make that happen no matter what. So fast forward, I know I'm giving you a kind of a quick.
No, I love it. No, keep going. Yeah.
I was part of, going from a teacher in I dabbled in Mary Kay Cosmetics, if you guys remember. Mary Kay.
Oh, yeah. I remember my mom having the parties at the house when I was a little girl too.
Super fun. Super fun. But let me just tell you, that is where I came alive. And my eyes were open to possibility. Financially, freedom, just making decisions, growing leadership. All the things about business I learned through Mary Kay. I stayed with the company about 6 years. I did very well. And I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I want to run the show. I can make as much money as I want. But then I had children and things happened in between. And I left Mary Kay. And that's when my boot camp business opened, because I also was very much in love with fitness and in health and wellness. So a few guys down the street, they were opening a gym and I said, hey, can I teach a boot camp? They happened to be, one of the guys was my husband's best friend. And they said, yes. I said, all right, I'll come up with the game plan. I'm going to go get certified. And that became a 10-year business of leading women in health and wellness and mindset. And, as 10 years goes on, you learn a lot about women that we can work out all day, but if we're not healthy in our minds, we're really not going to be happy in our bodies. So I did a lot of researching and digging deep into women in their mindsets. And then COVID happened. So from there, I was really at a standstill. What am I going to do next? But based on all my experience of working with women for that long, God downloaded Addicted to the Climb to me. And he said, you've been climbing your way up for so long, and you've been climbing your way out of defeat. I've been through a lot of things in my life, and they all led me to Addicted to the Climb. And I don't know how much you want to jump into that part of my story, but God downloaded that brand, Addicted to the Climb, which started as a podcast, then became a book, then turned into coaching women in helping them grow spiritually, faithfully, and personal development. So that's where I am today. I love what I do. I love working with women and helping them just become overcomers. And not feel defeated in their life and becoming the strong, courageous women that God intended them to be.
You can just see it in you. You can see your passion for that. And I'm sure the listeners can hear it too. But these were moments when I wish I did have more of a video, like a YouTube channel, because like your joy and your confidence and your just desire to help women just shines through so brightly. And I mean, I really did want to know, what does Addicted to the Climb mean? Like, you kind of set it up for that. Like this has become now like your podcast, your book, and how you help women. So for someone who's like, well, what does that even mean? Like, can you explain to them what is that? Is it just because you've been continuing to climb and God's kind of bringing you into new levels, or kind of explain a
No.
little bit? Yes.
Okay.
I want to hear
No.
all about it.
Thank you for asking. So I grew up an only child. When I was born, my mom, who was my very best friend from birth,
Mm-hmm.
we were super close, my family, but my mom had rheumatoid arthritis from the moment I was born. And she really suffered my whole entire life. And I watched her through this suffering, every
Mm-hmm.
stage, every surgery. I'm talking, she had scars from head to toe. But one thing
Wow.
she had was faith. She
Mm-hmm.
had such a deep, strong faith and love for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
It shone through her. And I
Mm-hmm.
noticed she was very resilient. Every time something would happen in her life, her shoulders, her hips, her knees, I'm telling you, she had every surgery imaginable. She would just smile with faith that Jesus got me. This is how I'm going to get through, Kelley. And no matter what you go through,
Mm-hmm.
faith can carry us through anything. So
Yeah.
I watched that my whole life. And I went through breast cancer. So that was one of the things I went
Mm-hmm.
through. When my son was born, he ended up being in the hospital for a very long time and having a shunt put in his head.
Mm-hmm.
And he's now legally blind in one eye. Just lots of life things
Yeah.
happened to me, like
Mm-hmm.
happens to most of us. Then I lost my mom. And
Mm-hmm.
that was pretty much another rock bottom moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Addicted to the Climb really was birthed out of all the things that I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
I watched my mom never give up. I watched her bounce back with faith.
Yeah.
And that's what Addicted to the Climb is all about. It's really how I climbed my way out of all the things that I've been through, even just watching my mom as a little girl go through this my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
How I climbed my way out of defeat again, just feeling when we go through setbacks,
Mm-hmm.
we can be stuck for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
And God has always helped me. I've always clung on to my faith. And that's why I want to teach women how to do that too. And that's
Yeah.
what Addicted to the Climb really is about. It's really about encouraging women. Never give up on your climb. You're going to face these things in life.
Yeah.
Things are going to divorce, being fired. I've been, through a lot of it, and
Mm-hmm.
cancer diagnosis, death.
Mm-hmm.
But we can never give up. And with faith, we can go higher.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. There's so much in your story, and we all have a story, and that's why I love podcasting, because I wouldn't have had the opportunity to come on here and talk to you. We've met through LinkedIn, but just to hear you kind of share your story, and that's what gives people hope. And I know there's someone who's listening right now who's at the bottom. She's just had a career change, or maybe, she was laid off, or maybe she's trying to start this business and it's not going as fast as she wanted, or maybe she's having trouble in her marriage. Like, she's at that bottom and she wants to be addicted to the climb. She wants to get out of it. What would you say to her? Like, what are some of the how-tos? Because yes, it starts with the faith, but then, like I said before, like, I'm going to do what I know to do, and then I'm trusting God for the rest, but there's still things we need to do, right? And that we can do, that we have control over, that we can take steps. So what would you say to someone who's listening, who's like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm ready to get out of this?
Honestly, it's really about getting quiet. I know we hear this all the time, and nobody wants to hear it because nobody wants to get, they just don't. I know it's a struggle, but can I just tell you, it really wasn't until I got quiet with myself in those dark moments where you don't know which way to go, or things are falling apart, and what lights you up. And for me, the way I climbed out of my deep, darkest moments, honestly, one of the things was, of course, it's prayer. I turn to that strengthens me. That can give me instant hope when I get into prayer with God and spend quiet time with him. But it also, for me, it's my health and fitness. So I found a spin class, and I just started going, and I just tried to block out the noise because I knew that was going to fuel me up and make me just feel better.
Right.
So it's just finding out what would make you feel better in these moments, and start with that. Get quiet, because we're so busy and distracted, and we don't get quiet enough. And then that misery spirals into a deep, dark place. But if you start doing something for you, what
Mm-hmm.
lights you up inside? Maybe it's spending a little time with a girlfriend and
Mm-hmm.
just talking about what's going on. A lot of times we like to hold things in as
Yeah.
mothers, women, and
Yeah.
we're like, oh, we got it. Well, guess what? Sometimes we need help and we
Yeah.
need to talk about it, find an outlet. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, it was fitness. It
Yeah.
was finding a class
Yeah.
and focusing on that. And little by little, I just started feeling better. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how I started my climb back up.
Yeah. Hey, friend, can I give you permission today? Like, for real, your own permission slip. Permission to get clear, to cut out the noise, mostly the noise that is going on around in your own mind, in your own head. It's just swirling. And you're asking yourself questions like, why am I stuck? Why am I frustrated? Why am I not making progress on my goals? I want to invite you to a free clarity call with me where we're going to dive in and we're going to identify what are the three main issues that are keeping you stuck. Number two, what are the mindsets around those issues that are actually keeping you from solving for those issues? It's not our skill sets, it's our mindsets that keep us stuck and hold us back. And then number three, identifying what are your next steps. We all have a next step and we have 100% responsibility for those next steps. Your only next step right now is to go to the show notes and book your free clarity call so that we can work through this. I'm believing in you and I cannot wait to see you on our clarity call. So powerful because we overcomplicate things, and we think that it has to be, I need to go away for a week, and maybe you do, but I was having this conversation with a client yesterday, and she said, the way I get away or the way that I can release my brain, 'cause she's an entrepreneur. She said, it's just when I can travel and just get out of town. And I said, well, that's a great outlet for you. I said, but that's only like what? Once a quarter at the most. I said, you're not going out of town every weekend. So we have to find those simple things in the day that you can have your soul lit on fire for, that can be a cup filling. A part of my devotional this morning was like, how can God fill your cup when you're moving it all the time? You try pouring coffee into a coffee cup that's moving all the time. It's really hard to do, So, I'm such a visual person. I'm like, that is the perfect example, how hard that would be. And so, he asked us to be still. And I told her that. I said, be still. It's that another translation says, stop striving, cease striving. And just sit and allow yourself to feel. I think that's a really important lesson for women that are listening. Allow yourself to feel whatever you need to feel. No shame, no condemnation for that. If you're feeling sad, feel sad. Emotions are messengers. But then get into some type of motion. Like you said, like don't just sit in it for long periods of time. You want to recognize it because it's definitely sending you a message on what do you need. But if we're going at that breakneck pace, we don't even know what the feelings we're having. We don't even know those deficiencies maybe that we're having in our mindsets, in our physical bodies, in our emotional and spiritual journeys. So the slowdown is so hard for mompreneurs, especially us ambitious ones, but it is one of the most simple, not always easy, but it doesn't cost you a dime to be still. You just get still with yourself and get still with him and kind of be reminded of who you are and whose you are so that you can just take that next step, not the 10th step. You're not looking all the way up the ladder, trying to climb out, just that first rung.
And it's funny. Once I did that because I was on the go and I like to be busy and I was really just consuming and reading and doing all the things. And I was like, but once I did it the first time and I actually took time, I wanted to do it again.
Yeah.
I was feeling the peace that we need to come back to everybody. I think at the end of the day, most of us just want some peace in our life. That's
yeah.
We're moms, we're busy, and there's not a lot of peace to be found sometimes during the day. We're so distracted, like you said. Once you do that, even I tell women, take your phone and set a 2-minute timer in the morning and close your eyes. That's it. That can be a great starting point because you're going to form that habit. Once you do it once, I promise you're just going to feel something better. You'll feel that peace by doing 2 minutes. And listen, I used to do this, right? In the beginning. And there were moments where I was still sitting for an hour and I'm like, what? But it was so peaceful that I didn't want to leave. I was
Yeah.
like, this is good for my soul. It's good for me to be with God. And we all just need to do that. And we have to give ourselves grace that some seasons are very busy. They're busier than others.
Yep.
It's okay. Like we're heading into the holidays, depending on when the podcast comes out. But we have to know that maybe this is going to be a busy season for us. It's time to prepare for that. Schedule in some quiet time so you don't get totally consumed and overwhelmed and stressed out. So you can't give to your families. So I think part of it is the preparation work that we all need to be aware of. Where can we prepare now so we don't get out of control and spiral out? And that to me has been a game changer to really just say, okay, I'm going to not schedule calls during a couple days or whatever, give myself a little bit of downtime so I can get things done for both my family and my business.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it allows you to be in a place of response instead of reaction. You know, when we're not prepared, then we're just responding, right? Or, reacting to all the fires that are coming at us. And there's a lot in the holiday season. I think it was John Maxwell who one time said, if we prepare, we don't have to repair. So if we spend the time in preparing, we don't have to repair the damage, whether it be physical damage, to our bodies or emotional or spiritual or whatever. And that's what I'm about. I am all about helping the moms prepare, because there are still going to be some repair that has already happened. You've already been through the burnout, and now we're trying to repair the burnout. But if I could help you to not reach burnout, if I could help you to not reach that place of the bottom of the pit, and that's a lot easier, right? It's easier to stay healthy than to deal with the illness. But if we don't take the time to take care of our wellness, we will be taking care of our illness. You'll be forced to. And so I think that's a really big point to bring home, no matter whether we're going into the holiday season, or maybe you just know there's a certain time of the year where it's going to be busier for you, whether it's in your business or whether it's in your family life. If you can prepare ahead of time in your mindset, what do I want this to look like? What do I want my holidays to look like? How can I be intentional with the yeses to the parties and the nos to the parties I don't want to go to? The yes to I'm going to spend this, the no, I'm not going to spend this, instead of just letting these seasons come and go. And then we look back and go, man, I wish I'd have done more of this, or I wish I'd have done less of that. That's what I hear a lot, is we just don't take that time ahead of time to prepare for. And then we're in repair mode. And then we go down that cycle of shame and blame. I should have done this better. I could have been a better mom here. I could have been a better wife here. And just get ahead of that so that you can respond and enjoy it instead of just reacting to everything.
I love that. And I always say, own your yes and own your no.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do something, say no, own it, because we can't do everything.
Right.
Like you said. And a lot of times we say yes to things, and then we do get frustrated with ourselves. But if you don't want to do something at this point in your life, don't do it. If it's not going to fuel you, because I've been there so many times where I've said yes to so many things and it just wasn't serving me, or the conversations I knew were just not going to be fueling me. And why do that? Why?
Yeah.
Time is so short that I just feel I want to be around empowering people. I think finding a great circle to be around in your environment matters. If you're getting stressed out, who are you hanging around? What are you listening to? You need to evaluate this stuff every season, at least once. To say, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel stressed out right now? Maybe I'm watching the wrong things on TV. Sometimes it really makes an impact on your thoughts. And sometimes they're negative thoughts that come from what you're consuming. And so, or what you're scrolling through on Instagram or whatever. So really being aware of all that and really setting up those boundaries to say, I'm going to say no to this. I'm not going to watch this or scroll tonight because it's going to make me feel down. And we just got to take control. It's really about taking control back, because a lot of times we end up feeling out of control. Yeah.
And it's a form of self-care, right? When you're making those adult decisions for yourself, you're parenting yourself. And sometimes that's not fun. It's not fun, to make those adulting. Sometimes it's not fun.
It's not. It's not
really
fun
not,
at all.
but it's Everyone
Somebody
goes.
has to do it.
It's right. And my audience is probably just, they hear me talk about saying no all the time. And so they're like, oh my gosh, here we go. We're going to talk about saying that word no again. But I don't feel like people can hear it enough, because there are so many of us that will say yes to something knowing we didn't want to do it, but we were too afraid to say it. Mm-hmm. And also knowing we're going to go back and cancel later, which is even more stressful, because now you have to go back and tell the person, no, what I really meant was no. So just let your yes be yes and your no be no. And I know that sounds very simple. It is simple, but it's not always easy, depending on who that person you're having to have that conversation with. But when you can come from a place of empowerment, I'm sure you agree with this, where these are the priorities that you're trying to honor, and that's all that it's about. It's not emotional decision. It's I'm trying to honor my priorities. And in this season, it has to be a no. Yes. And you don't have to explain yourself. It's a complete sentence. You really don't have to explain away why you're saying no. You're just giving them more ammunition to come back at you and say something. So the simpler, the better, right?
Yes. And I always say too, and we're using that word self-care, and I don't know, that word I'm torn about, because, but it's all about really what I say. It's protecting your peace.
Yes. 100%. Yeah.
Like, again, peace is the word that just comes up for me so much, because a lot of my women, they don't have it. They don't, the women that they're looking for peace in their life. And if you're not protecting your peace, that's up to you. You have to protect your peace. And what does that look like for you? We're all different. So you're the only one that can answer that. And if it is sitting on the couch at night with your husband and not working at your computer, then put the computer away and do that.
Yep.
That's how you start. Yeah. And it's hard sometimes, but we have to make these hard decisions, or we're going to spiral out and be frustrated. Yeah. Yeah. There's going to be a decision to be made either way. So which side do you want to be? Right. Do you want to be on the side of deciding to prepare, or deciding to repair, after that damage has been done to the relationship, to the business, to yourself? I mean, this is what I see all the time. And what's interesting, and you probably find this with your women too, when you ask them the question, like, what is it that you actually enjoy doing? If I have this conversation every day, I'm telling you, I have it multiple times a day with the women I'm coaching, they just have this blank look on their face. And I recognize that look because I've had it before, where I had been in pursuit of success of my business, pouring out to my kids, pouring out to my husband, pouring out to my community, and then finding myself sitting on the couch with tears rolling down my eyes going, I don't know who I am anymore. Like, I don't even know what brings Martine joy. And again, we overcomplicate it, but I just want to say to anyone who's listening that you're not alone. Like I tell my clients, I'm like, you're not a unicorn. This is something that women struggle with, because we've been so focused on others. We don't know who we are anymore. We don't know what brings us joy. So no wonder we're burnt out, because burnout is not always you doing too much. It's doing too little of what actually brings you joy. There's not enough of that in there. And so do you see this with the women that you're working? Like, they just don't even know where to start. If I had an extra 30 minutes today to just focus on myself, what would I do besides scroll on Facebook? If that's all you're doing, we need to chat, or you need to talk to Kelley, because there's more to life than just scrolling on your social for self-care or finding your peace, however you want to word that. I say choose you, because I do think self-care is overused and watered down. So yeah. No, that does that. But that's part of, what are your habits during the day? What are you doing? If that's all you're doing, that's all you're going to, you have to break these cycles. Yeah. Yeah. That's the problem. You're so used to sitting and scrolling, and you're so used to staying home, or you're so used to what you're doing, you do lose yourself, and you get frustrated with that. So you have to break these cycles and try something different. Maybe it's going to a new fitness class. See, you might not love it, but try something new, try something different that might fuel you up. And I see it all the time. They lose themselves because they spend so much time, especially moms, being a mom and trying to do it all. And they wake up and they say, how did I get here? How did I get it? I believe I'm 45 or I'm 55, whatever it is. Yeah. And just my goal is really just to help women begin to become courageous in making better decisions, because it takes courage to do that. It does. It really does. It's hard. We doubt ourselves. We get fearful. So I
Mm-hmm.
help them overcome fear-based
Mm-hmm.
thinking and bring them into faith-based thinking. And
Yeah.
that's really what, again, everything for me is surrounded by faith,
Yeah.
because that's where our hope comes. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's really
Yeah.
what women in that quiet time matters. It really does.
It does. And we kind of criticize ourselves and like what that quiet time looks like. Well, it doesn't look like hers. I don't have a full hour. Like, I don't know if you find the all or nothing mentality that comes in and robs a woman of that just first step, because she's like, well, I don't have an hour to do my quiet time or 30 minutes. I'm like, but do you have 5? Can you just give yourself 5 minutes? Let's just start small here, and whether that's sitting still or reading a devotional. And it is uncomfortable to sit with yourself in silence sometimes. It's uncomfortable to do something that you haven't done before or that you haven't done in a really long time. And going back to the gym for the first time when you haven't been in months, it's going to be painful. Your muscles are going to be sore. Your mind is going to be like going through all them. Are people watching me? Are they watching me? Am I doing what she's doing? Like, all of those mental Olympics are going to be going on too when you walk in the gym. But for me, that was one of the first steps that I took, was getting back into a group environment. I graduated with an exercise science degree, so I knew what to do. I was a personal trainer. I knew what to do, but I needed the accountability. I needed the community. And because I am an entrepreneur, I needed a place where I could go and just be Martine. I wasn't Martine the mom. I wasn't Martine the consultant with 31 or the leader with 31. I wasn't Martine the coach. Like, I was literally just Martine. And they had the music that I liked. They had the workout style that I liked. And it was soul saving for me to find that thing for me. Now, obviously my quiet time too, but that was the thing that got me kind of on that 1 or 2 rungs up the ladder, climbing out of those dark moments for myself too.
Wow. Same.
Yeah.
Same exact thing. I could just be me, just what
Mm-hmm.
you said. That's beautiful, beautiful way to look at it. And that's exactly how I started climbing back out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just encouraging any woman that just feels stuck or lost herself to just find something and try something different, step out. And then that builds courage. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you start building courage, it builds confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a little bit more of a pep in your step that,
Yeah.
wow, I just did something different.
Yeah.
You feel proud of yourself. And that's a big deal to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. Celebrating the small wins, and a small win for a mom listening today might be the fact that she got to wash her hair today. A small
Exactly.
win might be that you got out the door
Yes.
without yelling at your kids. Like, just celebrate all of the wins, because when you see progress, that's what creates more motivation to do the next right thing, is when you saw, oh, okay, that didn't kill me. Right. It was hard, but I was able to do it. Like you said, it just builds up more courage to take that next step. And that's really all we're responsible for. Just take the next step. God's not always going to give you the full blueprint. Kelley and I have talked about this before. Like, I really wish he would just say, here you go.
Right.
Here's the full
Maybe,
blueprint.
maybe.
Maybe. Yes, you're
I
right. You're right. Maybe there. Yeah, you're
I do
absolutely
like
right about that.
surprises.
You do? Oh, I do too. I really do. I don't mind surprises, but
I've been saying lately when I wake up in the morning for a prayer,
mhm.
Lord, surprise me today. And because I want to know what's on his agenda and I want him
Yeah,
to surprise me.
yeah.
And so I do like surprises in a way. So I do know that it is a blueprint, but I wish we had the blueprint in a way, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is fun. The joy, I find the joy is really, I know that's a cheesy saying, if you want to say it, everybody says it, the joy is in the journey,
Right.
but I
Yeah.
really have learned that my I get so strong throughout the
Mm-hmm.
journey. I see a part of myself that I didn't recognize before, like things I evolve as a woman and through the journeys that we
Yeah.
take
Oh,
through
yeah.
stepping out of comfort. Those
Mm-hmm.
journeys I'm talking about, doing something different.
Mm-hmm.
I realize who I really am.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And you realize where your strength really comes from, and as long as we stay close to the source, right?
Right.
The source of our strength, the source of our peace, the source of our love, the source of our, sound mind. And we stay close to that, then it just grows, just absolutely grows, and gives you that courage to do the next right thing that he's calling you to do, even if it is just that 5 minutes with him, spending that 5 minutes with him, quieting your soul and quieting your mind.
Yes.
So what are you most excited about? You said you're praying for surprises. So what are you most excited about right now in your business?
Well, right now I'm finishing up my brand new prayer journal that will be coming out
Oh,
on Black Friday. I'm
nice.
super excited about it. Yes. And my January mastermind the wait list is open for that. I'm very excited who God is going to surprise me with.
Yes, yes, that's
To be
awesome.
there. So that's going to be exciting. So right now I'm just tying up both of those, getting that launched, get that journal out there.
Oh, I love that. I can't wait to
Mhm.
purchase that. So we'll put the links to everything for Kelley in the show notes for all of you. Kelley, we could talk for 2 hours. Like we're just
I
gonna have to
know.
have you. We're
So
just gonna have to have you come back on the show so we can
so
talk
much
some
fun.
more about this because
I
we
love
we
it.
didn't even get to the things we talked about we were going to talk about before we got on here. So just a beautiful. You're just a beautiful woman, and I'm so thankful for the work that you're doing. I mean, there's room at the table for all of us. There's so many women to reach, so many women to minister to, and I am thankful to be linking arms with you and to do kingdom work in the lives of women. So thank you for what you're doing. And yeah, I'm just really excited for you to be on the show. And I can't wait to get your book and your prayer journal. That's awesome. Congratulations
Yes.
on those.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, friends. Well, that's a wrap for this episode. We will catch you on the next episode. And I'm believing in you always. Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.